Hi there, I'm Dean Heskin. Thank you for tuning into our podcast, The Secret War on Cash, where we look at some of the different things that are taking place in the financial markets, the economy, both globally as well as domestically. And I do this with my frequent co host, my literally almost permanent co host, short of a few times where we've had some scheduling issues. But we have Chris Agelastos joining us here today. Good morning, Chris. How are you?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
Well, that's very good to hear. And we've done quite a few of these podcasts, and we have been talking quite a bit as the news or information will warrant about BRICS, and we are right
Mhm.
back there again talking about BRICS here again today. And I really am somewhat surprised personally. We're now into the month of March 2025,
Mhm.
and as we've talked about numerous times, Trump went after the BRICS establishment, the alliance, right away. And I'm surprised in so much as that I really thought I'm surprised at how aggressively BRICS continues to move forward. I I know that they had their own agenda and and that was the thing, when we started covering it, when all that was going on initially speaking, as Trump said, okay, we're going to stop this. We talked about it in our podcast. They have had already progressed so much and so much work had been done that to me, and I don't know if we mentioned this or discussed it, but it would seem almost more difficult to stop BRICS than it would to keep it going. And they have so much to gain based on what it seems to be accomplishing by keeping it going. How could they afford to stop it? So as
Yeah.
we look at this first article here, Russia and Iran announced new deal to boost trade. And to just as a refresher, as Chris, the one of the things with these BRICS nations by joining BRICS, by aligning themselves with this alliance, what they automatically seem to be benefiting or gaining from is less dollar dependent and bolstering their local or domestic currencies, which everybody wants to see. And
Mhm.
I just am amazed with how severe the threats of tariffs and everything else that President Trump has made. But I mean, it looks like these guys are just like saying, I mean, forgive the expression, but screw you. We're going to go ahead and do this anyway. I mean, is this the new future as it relates to BRICS, where they're just going to keep rolling right on through? Do you think?
I definitely feel like, with Russia, pretty much in the driver's seat here. I mean, obviously China has a large influence as well, but in this particular article, we're talking about Russia and Iran, increasing their trade by quite a bit with each other. I think as long as there is uncertainty with the war in Ukraine, and U.S. Continuing to hold sanctions against Russia, I don't see why Russia would slow down, right? I mean, this gives them some degree of leverage um, towards negotiating with the U.S. Over Ukraine. So now, if we can help put that war to bed and calm things down there, then I could see Russia maybe taking the foot off the gas a little bit. But I still really, I don't think they're going to stop. For the reasons you mentioned, it benefits them in so many ways, and not just them, but all these other BRICS nations that are involved with each other. And yes, Trump has talked about tariffs in a general sense against BRICS nations, but he hasn't said anything about Russia and Iran in this latest deal. And maybe part of that is because he has so much heat right now on Mexico and Canada, with our own, border countries, that this is, off to the side for the moment or on the back burner. But it's never good when your adversaries are forming strong bonds and growing their own economies and pushing your influence off to the side, and that's really what's been happening to the dollar. So there's no way of really sugarcoating it. I mean, this isn't good. Is it the end of the dollar? Well, no, not yet. But this is not a road we want to be on, and we really don't want to go further down it than we have to.
Sure. Well, and a couple of things too of concern. when all of this began again, and him going after BRICS nations was pre-inauguration. I mean, he did this as soon as he, won the
Yeah.
general election. And the concern was, if you remember, like BRICS came out and said, no, 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 we are not trying to rid ourselves of the dollar. We're doing this in order to help bolster our local economies, things of this nature. Well, how many podcasts did we do over the year prior where, like, publicly, these leaders of these BRICS related nations were saying that, I mean, they have their own term for it, de-dollarization, and
Yeah.
and Putin in particular was very vocal about, like, he wanting to dethrone the US dollar. So that was a concern
Hmm.
because, like, for them to say what they said, and knowing that they've already said something contrary to that, that was so negating or making what they said completely untrue. I don't know, I kind of am one of those that, like, if somebody's lying about something, they're doing so because the opposite is true. They're trying to protect something. They're trying to protect their own interest. And
Hmm.
I just don't see what is going to cause this to slow down or stop, because it's something that provides tremendous benefit to them. And I don't remember the
Right.
exact percentage, maybe you do, but I mean, when you talk about BRICS nations, the last count I remember, I think they control like 70% of the natural resources out there, the world's natural resources.
Yeah, it's a
So
very high
these
percentage.
yeah, these are not countries that are, fledgling per se. I mean, they've got resources, they've got things to
Yeah.
help bolster the value that they bring to the table as they align themselves with BRICS. So on that note, in our next article, and then, eh, maybe not the powerhouse of nations out there, but we've got a new country aggressively pursuing to join the alliance, which is Zimbabwe. Some
Hmm.
natural resources exist there, obviously,
Yep.
and it's just speaks to the fact that, like, we hear all this stuff from President Trump, and he has to do what he's doing. There's no question about that. I mean, he definitely needs to, uh, be taking a hard line with these people and do what he can to slow down the momentum they're gaining. But it doesn't seem like any of it's working. I mean, very casually, again, these statements are coming out, like we just talked about, Russia and Iran doing deals with each other, Zimbabwe wanting to get on board,
Hmm.
and then they've got their big summit coming up in July. And so, there's seemingly no end to this. And I don't know what your thoughts are, Chris, but I don't know how the US dollar would survive this if BRICS continues, in so much as that, and we've talked about this before as well. As soon as Europe, or even a few European nations perhaps, get on board, what happens then?
Yeah. Well, I think it's safe to say at this point that um, we will see an end to dollar dominance. The big question now is it going to be this year? Is it going to be 5 years or 10 years from now? But these alliances are going to continue to grow because it benefits them. I mean, even in this public statement that Zimbabwe made, one of their big goals here is to increase education, their access to education and technology and science. And by being able to use their own currencies and trade with other BRICS nations, that's a huge benefit to them. So, like you said, why are they going to stop doing that? So no, they are going to continue pushing forward. I think they've seen the light. There is a lot of benefit to them long term. All of these nations, and the more people that our country alienates, that's just going to push more and more people over towards BRICS. We're sort of doing the job for them, helping recruit in a way. And I'm very pro America. Don't get me wrong, but we have to look at what is being done, how our dollar has been managed. Now, can President Trump, turn the ship around and get things going the right way? I believe he can. But at the point where we are right now, this is a long road to go. And, I don't know what we can really do significantly in the next year or two to turn things around.
Sure.
So it's definitely a tough battle.
Well, and it's the rate at which this is all taking place. I mean, I don't think I guess I don't know if this is a plus or a negative, but I think we will know sooner versus later because it just doesn't seem, we talked about in an earlier podcast, the dollar reaching the lowest points it has since 2008 when the economy
Right.
was in just, you know, tattered and shattered at the time. And that's where we find ourselves right now. And this stuff is still going on. And that's the thing, you take the debt, the deficits, you take what's going on with the dollar, Wall Street,
Yeah.
absorbing that. We haven't even talked a lot recently about what's going on in the, real estate market with commercial vacancies and whatnot, which things seem to kind of settle there. But by the same
Hmm.
token, all that can flip in a second. And
Yeah.
so that's why I think it speaks to the reason, Chris, and I'll let you tell people how to do this, but why financial diversification is so important because look, at the end of the day, I don't know what's going to happen with the dollar. You don't know what's going to happen with the dollar or when for that matter. Same thing with the financial markets, but a well balanced or diversified portfolio, that's the way you absorb anything or any bad that is going to happen. So, what does that look like, or how do people get themselves more knowledgeable and information on finding out how to become better diversified in tangibles or metals?
Yeah, well, first of all, you made a great point there. Our dollar's at the point of suffering where it was in '08, and back in '08, we didn't have to deal with BRICS, and now we do. So, I mean, this is definitely setting us up for a bigger problem. And we've been preaching to people for years: diversify your assets. Don't keep all your eggs in one basket. And so often, people either don't know or don't understand how diversifying into physical metal can protect them with something with a several thousand year track record of holding value. So that's what we'll help educate people on. Reach out to us either on the website at www.swissamerica.com. You can submit your information there. You can even click on our phone number there if you're on a cell phone and it'll dial us. You can call or text 1 800 289 2646, which is 1 800 buy coin. And just leave us your information, your contact info. We'll get back to you. Send a packet of information out. And usually we like to schedule a follow up appointment where we can maybe spend 10 or 15 minutes kind of discussing the basics and your situation and just see how we can best help. But definitely reach out. I mean, education is power in this type of situation. It's better to know what your options are and not need it than the other way around.
That's right. And for those of you tuning in, central banks are buying gold, governments are buying gold, investment houses are buying gold, individual investors are buying gold, and the reason they're doing it are for all the reasons that we've kind of been talking about here today, amongst other things that are taking shape in the economy. So, thanks for tuning into this podcast. Please subscribe if you haven't already. We look forward to talking to you more in the future and have a great rest of your week.